everybody, how are you? Happy Monday. My Monday went by really fast today. Really fast. And we had a surprise because this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. And for those of you who were in my live yesterday, I think I had mentioned how the vice principal had said, don't bring lunch on Monday. Well, they had a taco truck come to work today. And so the district paid for each of us to get 2 tacos, and they were so freaking good. So good. So I thought that was a really cool idea. Instead of, getting pizza or subs or, the usual food stuff. It was really cool. So yeah, and then after work, I had to go to the dentist, so that wasn't so great, but alas, we are here. So thanks for being here. Hey, Glow, I actually just watched your video. I don't know if it was from today. I hadn't seen it with, you were reviewing, I think LA Looks or LA Colors. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I watched that video just before I came live. Sinner, thanks for being here. Sober Pug, Lynn, Road Rash, Pookie. Oh my gosh, Sober Pug. It was so good. And so you could pick between chicken, beef, and veggie tacos. So I had the chicken with cheese, lettuce, guacamole, and there was something else I thought on there. I got it without the pico de gallo because I don't like onions. So definitely no pico de gallo, but it was really good. Really good. Hey, KCG. Oh, half asleep and listening in the bushes. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So we are, I know, KCG. We are going to talk about 3 surfers, 2 Australian, 1 American, who were on vacation in Baja, California, Mexico, near Ensenada, who went missing when, it was discovered they were missing when one of the Australians who was documenting the trip via social media stopped posting, and their family had not heard from them. Additionally, they did not check in to their next destination, which was a Airbnb. And this story is horrifying, first of all. And the Mexican officials are claiming that it was a robbery gone wrong, that the 3 Mexican nationals, 2 men, 1 woman, who have been arrested, were trying to steal the tires. And these 3 men chose to fight and unfortunately lost their lives. So KCG, the 3 who were arrested had a lot of drugs on them. And the woman, actually we'll get to that, but how they got to these 3 individuals is because the woman who was a part of this group turned on one of the victim's cell phones 20 minutes away from where they were last seen camping. So I guess in this case, thank goodness for people who don't think, criminals who don't think straight. Oh no, it's okay. We're going to get into it as well. So let's start. So again, this took place in Baja, California, Mexico. And I did, in one of the articles that I read that I chose not to use in this live, it had been stated that Callum had gone to this location previously. So Callum is one of the Australian brothers. They had vacationed here prior, and so they knew the area and, had been safe previously. So, why would you think this time any different? I think also, wrong place, wrong time. These tweakers, so to speak, we're looking for a quick buck. So we are going to start with this. So this is from May 2nd. And I will say one thing that I do want to say is a lot of the news clips that I have are from Australian newscasts. American newscasts really didn't talk about this very much. Some outlets did, but overall, they didn't give a lot of attention to the American who was a part of this group. I just feel like the Australian media really picked up on it and really gave them the attention they needed. And I thought that interesting as I was looking through different things. Hey, AMAC, thanks for being here. All right, so let's get started.
There are grave concerns tonight for two Australian brothers who have vanished on a surf trip in Mexico. Local media is now reporting a woman is in custody over their disappearance as the search for the young men turns desperate.
Two brothers reunited on a trip of a lifetime. Callum and Jake Robinson were on a surfing getaway in Mexico, but tonight there are grave fears the Perth pair is in danger. 33-year-old Callum and his younger brother Jake have been missing for days, along with their 30-year-old friend from the US, Jack Rode. The Robinson family raising the alarm through their distressed mother. They have not contacted us since Saturday. They are travelling with another friend, an American citizen.
Okay, so again, they were first reported missing on April 27th, which was a week from this past Saturday. And I hadn't seen this story until this past Saturday, so almost a week after. And actually, the reason I saw it was AMAC had posted their missing poster on her community page, and I shared it as well. And then I saw a news story where they believed they had found the burnt out car that they had last been seen in. So I wouldn't have known about this if not for AMAC. So thank you, AMAC. And, I didn't find out about it until a week later. So they had been already missing a week. Oh, you saw it on Instagram?
Were due to book into an Airbnb in Rosarito after their camping weekend, but they did not show up. Callum is a type 1 diabetic, so there is also a medical concern. The trio was last seen at a surf spot in the Ensenada region of the Baja, California in Mexico on Sunday, driving a white Chevrolet Colorado ute.
My name's Callum Robinson. I'm a junior at Stevenson University.
Callum is a skilled lacrosse player living in California who's represented Australia.
Callum Robinson, a.k.a. the Big Koala.
30-year-old Jake, a doctor, was visiting for Callum's birthday yesterday.
Must be very worrying for the families involved. I share concerns of all Western Australians in terms of their welfare.
Authorities launching a search mission for the missing trio, and this afternoon a potential sinister twist. Local media reporting a person is in custody.
And so again, before the local authorities had given any information or done a press conference, it was being reported that they had a person in custody. That person was this female who had the phone of one of the victims.
Callum Robinson, uno es ciudadano americano.
The Department of Foreign Affairs says it's providing consular assistance to the family as two parents prepare for a desperate dash to Mexico to find their boys.
Okay, so I just saw KCG's. Let me just go back a tiny bit. Here it is. Okay, so here's the map. So you have San Diego, which is California, to the north. Ensenada is where they had booked an Airbnb and did not check in when they were expected. And Baja California, to my understanding, and I'm sure others can correct me if I'm wrong, is this area of Mexico, so this region. That is true, Pookie. The only stupid question is the one that goes unasked. Absolutely. So, it's Baja California, Mexico, which can be confusing because when I first heard it, I was thinking Baja California, but Baja California is a region in Mexico. And again, if someone can clarify that, that would be great. All right, so let's zoom back up. We'll go about right here.
30-year-old Jake, a doctor, was visiting for Callum's birthday yesterday.
Must be very worrying for the families involved. I share concerns of all Western Australians in terms of their welfare.
Authorities launching a search mission for the missing trio, and this afternoon a potential sinister twist. Local media reporting a person is in custody.
Jake y Callum Robinson. Uno es ciudadano americano.
The Department of Foreign Affairs says it's providing consular assistance to the family as two parents prepare for a desperate dash to Mexico to find their boys. Michael Stamp, 9 News.
All right, let's bring in our US.
Oh, I'm sorry, KCG. I forgot that you had a hard time seeing. So if you think about Southern California, right? If you imagine the state of California, the very southern part, Baja California, Mexico is an area just south of there, but in Mexico. And I believe they said it was 20, did they say 20 miles south of San Diego, Ensenada? Don't quote me on that because I heard it yesterday or the day before. But it's not very far from San Diego.
Correspondent Alison Petrowski, who is in San Diego on the US-Mexico border. Ali, you have an update on the investigation. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, good evening to you, Pete. As you just heard, Mexican news outlets confirming that an arrest has been made. We understand that the person arrested, Pete, is a woman. That woman was in possession of one of the men's mobile phones. Now, we don't know which man the phone belonged to, but she turned it on, it pinged a local cell tower, and that is how, Pete, authorities managed to track her down.
So if not for this woman, who, interestingly enough, this is one thing that I found curious. Initial media coverage of this showed the face of this woman. They showed her face. And then later reports showed her face with the two men, their eyes blacked out, covered in like a black strip. And now current media coverage is showing her face blurred and the two men still with the black strip across their eyes. So it's strange how now they don't want her face to be shown, but they did initially. So it's a little strange. Oh, perfect, KCG. You used to live in California, but north. And I did look, I was wrong. It's not 20 minutes. I looked up San Diego to Ensenada, which is where they were expected to check into the Airbnb, and it's about 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours from San Diego.
Also understand, Pete, that authorities found drugs on her when they arrested her. She had methamphetamine on her. Now, Ensenada police say that they conducted quite an extensive search today, a broad search along the Baja coast, releasing these search party pictures, Pete. But look, they said that the search itself had to be quite broad because at the moment they do not have a lot of detail to work with.
All right, Ali, thank you.
But again, this woman, you always hear about stupid criminals. She turned on the cell phone, which pinged, and that's how they were able to find not only her, but the others who were involved. And so from here, we're going to go to this article, which actually talks a little bit more about those 2 men who were arrested. And this is from May 3rd. Mexican police make more arrests after Australian surfers go missing. Police in Mexico say, let me see if I can make that bigger. There we go. Police in Mexico say they have made another 2 arrests as they investigate the disappearance of Australian brothers Jake and Callum Robinson. The Perth men were on a surf trip in the state of Baja, California, in Mexico's northwest, when they failed to arrive at their accommodation in the city of Rosarito. They were traveling with an American man, Jack Carter Road, who was also missing. Police said their burnt-out car had been found on a ranch south of the city of Ensenada, and 2 men had been arrested. It followed the arrest of a 23-year-old woman in the nearby town of Manadero a day earlier. She was found with a phone belonging to one of the brothers, police said. They said the woman and the men had drugs in their possession when they were detained. Police said the men they arrested were brothers, and one was in a romantic relationship with the detained woman. Local journalist Oliver Quintero told ABC Radio Perth the stolen phone had been used to locate the woman. That is actually how the 3 people were found. The police were able to track the GPS on one of the phones, and that's how they got the lady. She was the one who had the phone and was with the other 2 gentlemen. It is understood the missing trio had been camping at the popular surfing spot Punta San Jose near Ensenada. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said he was hopeful a local search would result in a positive outcome. We certainly hope these brothers are found safely, but there is real concern about the fact that they've gone missing. Baja California Attorney General Maria Elena Andrade Ramirez said her office was in contact with the Australian and American embassies. The mother of the men, Deborah Robinson, has been using social media to appeal for help finding her sons. They have not contacted us since April 27. They are traveling with another friend, an American citizen. Callum is a type 1 diabetic, so there is also a medical concern. Please contact me if you have seen them or know their whereabouts. An advisory from Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade says travelers in Mexico should exercise a high degree of caution due to the threat of violent crime. Baja California is among the worst states for violent crime. Fighting between drug cartels has contributed to a spike in the local homicide rate, which is one of the worst in Mexico. And to go along with that, I did find this article that kind of just talks about the local crime rates. And so, according to Mexico's National Institute of Statistics and Geography, residents of Baja California reported 27,211 criminal incidents per 100,000 people in 2022. That's slightly lower than the nationwide rate of 28,701 incidents per 100,000 people in the same year. However, to put that in perspective, Australia's comparable crime rate in 2022 was 2,118 reported incidents per 100,000 people. Experts also believe about 92% of crimes committed in Mexico in 2022 went unreported, meaning the real crime rate is potentially orders of magnitude higher than that of Australia. Baja California is also among the worst states in Mexico when it comes to violent crime, with ongoing conflicts amongst drug cartels contributing to a spike in the local homicide rate. And Tijuana recorded 1,770 homicides in 2021, a rate of 95 homicides per 100,000 people, the highest rate recorded by any municipality in the country. And according to Vision of Humanity, Baja California, Mexico is the least peaceful state in 2022 for the 4th year running. So that was just a quick little article that I had seen from Australian news. Hey, Still in Leather, how are you? Hey, Ava, Sunnyside, everyone who I didn't say hi to, thanks for being here.
But first to breaking news, a woman's been arrested over the disappearance of 2 Australian brothers in Mexico. Jake and Callum Robinson vanished while on a surfing trip. They last made contact with their family in Perth on Saturday. US correspondent Miley Hogan is in Ensenada, Mexico. Miley, you have spoken exclusively with one of the officers involved in this search.
Yeah, good morning. We've spoken with the police commander of the Santa Thomas area. Now, that is a region that's near the coastal zone where police were searching for the 2 missing Australian brothers and their American friend. He was able to give us a bit more of an idea of the search zone. He's told us that it is quite remote. It's not that easy to access. It's about a 90-minute drive down a dirt area. It's very popular for local fishermen. But
So, KCG, you had said, is this the same area where Shanquella died? So I just looked her up. So it was Shanquella Robinson. She was staying in a luxury rental property in Baja California Sur. Yes. So I'm not sure exactly where that is in relation to, let's see, I'm going to look that up quick. California. Okay, so they're just saying that's actually the lower half of the peninsula. So the upper half would be Baja California, and then Baja California Sur is the bottom half of the peninsula. So same area, but a different region. And I don't think it said, yeah, it just said I don't see a specific, but I remember that where that was a crazy case too. That was a really crazy case.
he explained to us that you would need to know where you're going if you're going out there to camp. They were searching through that area yesterday for around 3 hours, and then federal authorities have come in to continue that search. Now, this is what we know about the investigation as it stands. Yesterday, Mexican authorities arrested a 25-year-old woman. Now, it's understood that a phone was switched on around a 20-minute drive from that search area. Now,
so that's interesting because the article I had read said 23-year-old. This reporter just said 25-year-old. Either way, she's young. And clearly, well, thankfully, she turned on this phone.
That is how police have been able to locate that woman, and it's understood that the mobile phone belongs to one of the 3 missing men. She was brought here to this police station, but she has now also been moved on to federal authorities, Mexican authorities, hoping that she may be able to help them and provide some answers to the whereabouts of these 3 missing men. The family last heard from those Australian brothers on Saturday. It is understood that Perth-based family is trying to make it over here to Mexico in a desperate bid to search and hopefully find their sons. They have released a statement saying that they are hoping that their 2 beautiful sons will be found, guys.
Yeah, long way from home, isn't it, in that stress. Thank you, Miley. We'll cross.
Oh, and actually, let me just go back a tiny bit because this clip is... Oh.
Here's Chervo.
Thanks, Nat. There's a serious scrutiny on New South Wales clubs this morning after more
happened, guys.
Yeah, long way from.
There we go. So this was through Facebook. Deborah Robinson, who is the mom of Callum and Jack. I'm sorry, Jake. Jack is their friend. Reaching out to anyone who has seen my two sons. They have not contacted us since Saturday, 27th April. They are traveling with another friend, an American citizen. They were due to book into an Airbnb in Rosarito after their camping weekend, but they did not show up. She did mention about Callum being diabetic and then to please contact her if she has seen them. And I'm not sure what the smaller writing says, but this says they were driving Chevrolet's Colorado utility with California number plates. And then she has the license plate number listed. Yes, road rash. So Tranquilla was the one who died in the resort, and it's the one, it was videotaped. So she was seen being like beaten up, and especially in her head. And then she ended up dying, and the family actually wanted their own autopsy by the United States because the Mexican, Mexico had done their own, but her family wanted to have their own done in the US, which is understandable. I think it was her friends. Yeah. And that's actually, I'm going to make a note because I'm curious. I haven't looked into that since it happened. I don't even know what happened with Shanquilla. Yeah, and just a side note, when I was 22, my cousin he was just about to turn 21. He went to Cancun for spring break. The night he was there, we believe that he was pushed off a balcony. Others who were there, specifically, the Mexican police, said that he jumped off the balcony. Either way, he died. He died his first night in Cancun. And I remember the hospital. So the Mexican hospital that he was at would not release his body because he hadn't paid his bill. Which, again, this was back in 2002. And I know a lot of people don't like Hillary Clinton, but at the time she was senator. And if not for Hillary Clinton, my cousin wouldn't have been released from a Mexican hospital. So it was really, really messed up. Really, really messed up. Yeah. It was March 13th. No, March 12th. Let me think. When is my dad's birthday? March 18th. So unfortunately, my cousin passed away on my dad's birthday, which is terrible. But yeah, he was about to be 21. So. Oh, wow. Really? Still another? My uncle went missing in Mexico, went down for a visit, and was never heard from again. This was back in the 70s, so it hasn't gotten any better. Yeah. Oh, I agree, KCG. Some news outlets have covered this case, but in most of the clips that I've been able to find is Australian media really focusing on Callum and Jake. There's not, but I did find an article from the Daily Mail about Jack. So we're going to get to those at the end.
We begin with breaking news. 3 bodies found in a popular fishing and camping cove in Ensenada are believed to be the 3 missing surfers who disappeared just days ago during a surf trip to Mexico. It's our top story on the 4. I'm Heather Myers.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. One of the surfers had ties to Ocean Beach, and that's where we find CBS 8's Kelly Hessedal, who's joining us live now with more. Kelly.
That's right, and we're told those bodies were found on a cliff. Now, 2 of the men were Australian brothers, and one of them, Callum Robinson, lived here in Ocean Beach.
Donde se encontraron casas de campaña.
Right, and so Callum Robinson, again, is one of the Australian brothers who did live in California. His brother had been visiting from Australia for Callum's birthday.
Today, Mexican authorities confirmed the bodies of 3 men were found at La Bocana, known as a popular destination for fishing and camping in Baja, California. It's around a 4-hour drive to get there from San Diego. We have photos of the 3 men. Callum Robinson is on the left, his brother Jake is in the middle, and their friend Jack Carter Road is on the right. As for a timeline, we know they left for a surfing trip to Ensenada.
And so this is where documenting on social media, I feel, is helpful, useful, because this showed, it documented where they were, what they were doing, their car. And so that's when, you know, the burnt out shell of the truck was found. That's when, you know, they obviously, you know, something sinister has happened. And then, well, I'm not going to get too much into it because it'll tell you, like, we're kind of building up through the story. But this is where I think, you know, documenting on social media becomes really, really important.
Ensenada at least a week ago. Callum posted pictures and videos from Ensenada on Instagram, showing them on the beach, showing them eating out. On Wednesday, Callum and Jake's mom took to social media and said they were missing, that they never showed up for the accommodations they booked in Rosarito. Yesterday, Mexican authorities found tents and a truck believed to be tied to the missing men. 3 people have been arrested.
And we are still waiting for more information about those arrests. We are also waiting for Mexican authorities to confirm the identities of those bodies. But a source close to the investigation confirms that those bodies are the missing surfers. Carlo and Heather.
Your heart breaks for these families. Kelly, you mentioned that Callum lived in Ocean Beach. Have we learned anything else about these 3 men?
Yeah, I really wasn't able to find a whole lot about Jack Carter Road, but I do know that Callum was a lacrosse player both in Australia as well as here in San Diego. The San Diego Lacrosse Club has been posting photos of him on their Instagram page and kind of trying to pay tribute to him. From my understanding, his brother Jake was reportedly a doctor who lives in Australia.
And when they first started reporting that they believed that the 3 had been located, they kept saying on a cliff. They were found on a cliff. But it was a cliff, but where they were found, these 3 people who did this did not want them to be found. Did not want them to be found. Thankfully, they were. So again, this, let's see, we're on number 4. So this is May 3rd. So again, the first 2 were May 2nd. These 2 are May 3rd. So we're kind of getting to present day.
A charged Chevy Colorado found at a farm south.
And so here is, you know, the shell of the truck, which is interesting because Mexican authorities are saying that the reason this happened was because the 3 Mexican nationals were trying to steal their tires, but I mean, maybe they did steal the tires. It's hard to tell, but I mean, clearly they were trying to cover what they did.
of Ensenada, Mexico, matching the description of the car Perth brothers Jake and Callum Robinson were travelling in on what was meant to be a surfing trip of a lifetime.
A team of investigators is at the site where they were last seen, where tents and other evidence were found that could be linked to these three people we have in custody.
Tonight, there's increased police activity in the area already.
Oh, and here are the two men are being detained, and then I'm not sure, I don't see the woman here, but the two men are being searched by police.
Controlled. We spoke exclusively to the local police commander about their extensive search.
And I believe this is the news clip that does get a little graphic. So I do have my viewer discretion advised, but just know that they get into details that may be distressing to some of us.
That road about 2 hours of driving, and it's a very countryside road with no homes at all.
Other investigators linked to the case have revealed to 7 News a tooth and blood were found at the scene and are tonight being examined. The investigation yesterday wrapped up when a 23-year-old woman was arrested up in Menandero, found with the phone. 2 men known to her were arrested overnight. All are Mexican. All were in possession of drugs.
It's an easy drive over the US border into Baja, California, and it's not uncommon for surfers to visit the region, but it does have its risks. The state has one of the highest rates of violent crime in Mexico, with warring drug cartels battling for territory.
The disappearance of the men has not been linked to organised crime, but authorities aren't ruling anything out.
We certainly hope that these brothers are found safely. Their mother is obviously very distressed about this.
This must be horrible for the Robinson family and for everyone in the community who knows those boys. We just want to bring them home.
Oh, and I didn't realize I cut that off. Hi, Road Dog. I actually had ice cream today. I actually did have ice cream today. Okay, so now we move to May 4th, which was Saturday. And this is when I saw the post that AMAC had shared on her page. And so I shared it on my page just thinking they were missing. And then this is where that same day it was reported that they were found deceased.
The search for 3 missing surfers in Mexico has taken a sinister turn. Their bodies have been found along with their burned out car. 2 Australian brothers and their friend, who is from San Diego, disappeared on a surf trip in Baja.
Tonight, 1 person has been arrested and family and friends of the surfers are devastated. Sandra Mitchell has the latest from the KTLA News Center.
The FBI is now involved and says this area, Santo Tomas, where the bodies were found, is very active with drug cartel. And they are now working with Mexican authorities to develop more evidence in the case.
From the Instagram post, it looked like an epic surf vacation. But then last weekend, Callum Robinson went silent on social media. He, his older brother, and their friend from San Diego were missing in Mexico. Now Mexican authorities say it was those social media posts that helped lead them to 3 bodies they believe are 30-year-old Callum, his 33-year-old brother Jake, both from Perth, Australia, and 30-year-old Jack Rode from San Diego. Police found their burned-out pickup truck and their tents on Wednesday in Santo Tomas, just south of Ensenada. The men had not been seen since last Friday.
La Bocana de Santo Tomás, que se supone que es el lugar donde debían de haber estado ellos.
A local reporter said the area where the bodies...
So again, this is the cliff. So it was reported that they were found on a cliff, which this is near where they were found, but they weren't necessarily found on the cliff itself.
Were found is popular with tourists. There is no information on how the men died, but Mexican authorities now have 3 people in custody, including this 23-year-old woman who was found.
So again, this was, what May 4th. Is this right? May 4th? Yes. So on May 4th, they were showing this woman's face. Then they blurred her face. So I'm not sure why they're now blurring her face, but initially they released her photo unblurred.
With the cell phone of one of the men and a bag of illegal drugs. Callum, a popular lacrosse player in Australia, had been living in San Diego. His brother had just joined him for what the men's mother described as the trip of a lifetime, starting with the Coachella Music Festival and continuing into Mexico to camp and surf.
No, KCG, they were not. They were not tossed over.
Some of Callum's final posts showed the men enjoying Rosarito before traveling south to Ensenada.
Also tonight, Australian TV now reporting that the parents of Callum and Jake are on their way to Mexico to be close to where their sons were last seen alive. In News Center, I'm Sandra Mitchell. Back to you.
Okay, so again, they had been missing, let's see, actually that's exactly a week. So they had been missing a week when the bodies were found. And again, it was being reported it was them. However, I believe today is when the parents of at least the brothers from Australia positively identified their sons. Okay, so now we move to May 5th. So this next clip is from yesterday. This gets more into where they were found, where they were located, some other evidence that led them to this area. Oh, really, OG Fish? I'm driving from Texas to California, and the fastest route goes along the border, and it scares the heck out of me, and I don't stop. One place I don't think I would ever go is Mexico. I don't think I would ever go there.
3 Mexican nationals have been charged with forced kidnapping in relation to the
So again, this is what I was talking about. They still show the woman's face, but then they have this black like strip over the men's eyes. Like they don't want to identify them.
disappearance of Australian brothers Callum and Jake Robinson. Today, one of Callum's closest friends spoke of his kindness and bright personality, telling 9 News he lit up a room.
A show of force on the streets of Ensenada, the closest town to where Callum and Jake Robinson were last seen. Mexican officials now believe the Australian brothers and their American friend were ambushed by 3 Mexican nationals after their white ute. There was resistance, shots fired, shell casings found by their tents.
And so again, this is where they were, this is where they were camping. So they were along the cliff. They were camping here, and so I think that's why a lot of the media reports were saying that they were found on a cliff because of where the truck and, you know, the burnt camping area was located.
Shell casings found by their tents. The 3 Mexicans have been charged with forced kidnapping.
Right, so now, notice when they initially, when the male reporter was talking, her face was unblurred, but their eyes were covered. Now, in this part of the clip, they've blurred out her face, even though they just showed it 30 seconds ago. KCG, I'm not sure. That's a good question. And the other thing I noticed is that none of the Australian media clips have closed captioning available. I noticed that as we were going through, only the states-based media so far, that I think I only had the US and Australia. Australia doesn't offer closed captioning. Super sad, Evil Queen.
kidnapping. Jesus Cota, his alias is El Quecas, his partner Ari, and El Quecas' brother, Christian Alejandro Garcia. They were all found in possession of methamphetamine. Sources tell 9 News they're expected to be charged with murder.
Yeah, so here they have like this black over their eyes, which is very interesting to me. Like, why not show who they are? I mean, they're being accused of forced kidnapping and most likely now murder. I mean, I agree, Sunnyside. Super fun trip.
In the days to come. On top of the hill where 3 bodies were found yesterday, an abandoned cabin. Inside, possessions believed to be from the Perth brothers campsite.
The beaches along Baja make it a draw card for tourists, but beyond the bustling coastline, there are warring cartels and one of the highest crime rates in all of Mexico. Were you in contact with Callum after he left for Mexico?
I didn't hear from him, and my mom asked me if I heard from him, and I was like, I think he's mad at me. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I think he's mad at me. Like, something doesn't seem right.
Hayley Jacobs is one of Callum Robinson's dearest friends. She last saw him the morning he left for Mexico. She's crippled with grief, but wants to pay tribute to her favourite Aussie.
If we're at a restaurant and we were having dinner and he asked for the waiter's name, he would write his name down in his notes in his phone, how he met him and how he connected with him. And he showed me the notes, and it was hundreds of people's names that he met. He just lit up a room.
For years, Callum has been based in the US, living out his dream of playing professional lacrosse.
I asked him what his goals were in life, and he just said that he wanted to go back to Australia and raise a family and grow.
Today, his Stevenson University team paid tribute, a minute's silence for the man they called Big Koala.
We just want to say the Robinson family that, all our alumni arms are all around you.
In Ensenada, Mexico, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
I know. It's so sad. And I did check out Callum's Instagram. And so I did see they shared a few of, actually, we can go there really quick. I think I can get to, I don't know if I can get to it on my laptop or not. Let's see. Yep, I can't get to Instagram because I don't think I have anything other than my personal account. But if you have Instagram and you look up, I think it was Callum 10 Robinson, you'll be able to find his Instagram. Okay, so I have 2 more news clips, and this one is a little bit longer, but this news, this Fox 5 News has their reporter come in, and he really discusses a lot about what happened, what he was told, information he was able to gather. And so they only said it really quickly in the last clip, but all 3 men were found down a well, a very deep well. And when they found the 3 surfers, they found a 4th body. And they believe that the 4th body belongs to a rancher that went missing several weeks ago. So not only did they find the 3 surfers, they also found another man who had been missing for some time.
We are learning more about 3 missing surfers found murdered in Mexico.
Fox 5 Salvador Rivera joining us now in studio with the latest on this. Sal, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, and I wish we were talking under better circumstances.
Exactly.
And I don't believe any of the news clips that I have shown at this point have discussed how the 3 were killed. I didn't watch this entire clip, so it is possible that this reporter does speak on what their cause of death was. So again, viewer discretion advised. It may be distressing.
This is your beat. You know this area more than better than everybody else. What is the latest information you're getting there?
This is what we got yesterday from the Attorney General, the woman who runs the Attorney General's office in Baja, California. And she confirmed that the surfers, the missing surfers, are in fact the people found in that well on Friday. Initially, they were thinking they had a very good feeling that it was them. In fact, a source of mine in the Attorney General's office said that it's them. That's the quote he gave me over the phone. It's them. And then they took 20 hours to pull the bodies from the well. You see in the images here, in a very isolated.
So he's saying these are the images. So again, the well, it was, the photos I saw, it almost looked like, initially it looked like a mine shaft. But then the aerial views, they had wooden boards, like sheetrock, kind of around the hole of the well. So, 20 hours, I mean, that's a pretty lengthy time to, carefully, bring them back up. And I did see there were some media outlets were reporting that the well was 15 feet deep. Other media outlets said it was 50 feet deep. So that's a pretty significant difference in depth. Either way, it was relatively deep. But again, some reports are saying 15, others are saying 50. So, hey, Kit, how are you?
Area south of Ensenada. It's about 110 miles from the border, but once you get beyond Ensenada, it's really
okay. So let me just go back. Nope, I didn't go far enough. So this is the building that they said they located what they believe to be some of the three men's belongings. But it's hard to see. I mean, there's all these vehicles. It's hard to see where exactly the well is in relation to these vehicles.
on Ensenada. It's really difficult to get spots like this, but these are the type of.
Okay, so here's the well. The well is right here. But again, I don't see anything in relation to
spots that surfers seem to exactly. They know this is what they love and they want to surf in. Well, yesterday the AG said that they might need DNA testing to confirm the identities because the bodies were in decay, they were decomposing.
And this is what broke my heart even more, is that it was reported today that Callum and Jake's parents did not have to give DNA samples for them to identify their sons' bodies. And I would hate to be any parent to have to do such a thing, let alone do it a week after. But DNA testing was not needed in this situation.
In that well. Late in the afternoon, she issued a news release saying that the families had identified the bodies and there would be no need for
and there we
DNA
go. I didn't
or
realize
any
that he was
further
going to say
testing,
that.
genetic testing of any sort. So we know now for a fact, definitely, that the missing surfers are the people found in that well.
And obviously, we know that one of them was a local man from Ocean Beach. The other two were brothers from Perth, Australia, it sounds like. But there was another body found in that well.
Yes, there was a fourth body. And apparently, from what I've been told, this was the owner of the property who went missing a little more than 2 weeks ago. So he also became a victim of a crime, and they.
So I didn't realize that because they had just said a rancher who had been missing for several weeks. And so this reporter is saying that he's been told that it's believed that it's the rancher, the owner of this farm. And I'm curious if it was the same 3 people who did it. That's really interesting.
They threw him down into that well. He was the 4th body further down in the well. And so it was a surprise when they found him. And but then they put 2 and 2 together, and it turned out that he was the owner of the property that had been missing for a while.
It's a horrific story, and then you kind of start trying to connect the dots, but we can't do that until we know more from the investigation. But is this something that's connected in terms of the people who committed these crimes, or were they also responsible for that?
Yes,
The fact
there's
that they
my
knew
question.
where to, in essence, get rid of their victims is a little suspicious. And then this all started from trying to steal tires off of a pickup truck. It's all shocking.
The theory behind all this, and according to the Attorney General, they were there camping. These guys show up in another truck and apparently approach the surfers, and they either want the vehicle or the tires. So there's been discrepancies there. We've heard stories on both sides, where they wanted the tires and some parts of the truck or the entire truck. When they resisted, that's when the shootings took place. And apparently that's how they died. They were shot in the head. And then they were taken to that well and dumped there. Another theory real fast is that since the owner of the property was also there, apparently they're trying to scare people out of that area. And somehow they want to take over that whole area, either for landing aircraft, creating labs for drugs, or even launching boats full of migrants to come all the way around to our coastline. So there's a lot of theories out there, a lot of scenarios as to why this might be tied and why this happened.
Drugs are prevalent in this area. Cartels are prevalent in this area in terms of the safety for tourists, because a lot of people, the argument seems to be Baja, California.
I know. Good question, Road Rash. If this wasn't figured out now, how many more people would end up in that well? Yeah, and like this man said, some, in Mexico are speculating that these people wanted the land for themselves or whatever group they're a part of. And I mean, how many others would possibly have been camping there or, hanging out there?
California is incredibly dangerous. And yet you ask people, it's like, no, Rosarito is super safe. Ensenada is super safe, except is it? Because these surfers, you go have your lunch at Rosarito and Ensenada, but then you go off the beaten path to those surf spots, if you will. And then this happens. Is it safe for people to go down there based on this, or is this an isolated incident?
And we were talking about this, and I, quite honestly, I don't go down there, not because I don't feel safe. I just don't have the need to go down there unless I'm working.
Okay.
I have neighbors, relatives, friends who go down there all the time, and they tell me nothing has ever happened to us. We're not afraid. We've never been stopped by police and asked for a bribe or anything like that. But yet the State Department just issued another warning, avoid Baja, California. We know for a fact Tijuana is a very dangerous city, but according to Mexico's president, it's only for the bad guys. If you're a tourist or just a resident, you're not going to be affected by all this violence. I mean, Tijuana's already had more than 700 murders so far this year.
Crap.
Sal, talk to me a little bit about, because
Wait, so in that one article I read, so I guess that's comparable. So it said Tijuana recorded 1,770 homicides in 2021. And this reporter just said, as of now, Tijuana has already had 700 homicides. So, I mean, that's actually, when you think about it, if you think about half of 1770, they're actually, the rate is actually lower at this point than it was in 2021, but still 700 homicides. That's crazy.
Talking about safety, sometimes when you know a little bit more about the suspects behind these 3 murders, and that will give you some pause. Can you talk to us a little bit about the suspects?
Sure. And what they always say, stay away from the bad spots, right? If you're not doing anything bad or illegal, chances are nothing's going to happen to you. But we know for a fact that that's not always the case. And we just had a perfect example this weekend. Remember last year, the elderly couple from San Diego, they've been down there. They were at a house, robbed, murdered, and also dumped in a well. So it's sometimes it's you're in a bad spot at the wrong time.
Before we let you go, it seems for a lot of people the way our system here works, and you have a crime, and then there's like an investigation. It seems like they found these people awfully quickly, which leads some people to be a little suspicious of like, are that really the people? It's like, how?
I don't think a week is quickly. Or is he talking about the people who did it? Because they found them, it was May 2nd? No, May 3rd is when the woman was arrested, I believe. Let me go back to... So it doesn't have a date, but it does say that police found the burnt out car that had been found on a ranch south of the city of Ensenada, and 2 men had been arrested. That followed the arrest of a 23-year-old a day earlier. So the woman was a day before. And that was first reported that I could find May 2nd. So, I mean, it was still, well, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 days after. I don't think that's, necessarily quickly. I mean, maybe in terms of, I guess it was, because if that lady didn't turn on the phone, they probably still wouldn't know who did it. Oh, wow, 709 homicides in Chicago in 2022. So Tijuana has already had nearly as many homicides as Chicago did in 1 year in 5 months.
How did the crime happens and they find these people in a heart? Oh, they're guilty.
Okay. In this case, they traced one of the phones belonging to the Australian brothers, and they found it on a woman. She also had a bag of drugs. So they immediately pounced on her, started questioning, and she more than likely gave up the 2 other suspects who are now in custody. And now we're told they'll be tried to the fullest extent of the law. There's 2 other people we're told who are also under investigation and might also be arrested. No charges have been filed, but that's likely coming either today or in the coming days.
But the bottom line here, you look at the 3 faces over there, it's just it's a tragedy.
Okay, so, and again, this clip was from today. So there were reports that they could be charged with forced kidnapping. I would assume that it would also now include murder, but hopefully, charges are announced soon, considering they have located the 3 surfers, and then also this rancher who was missing.
All around, just heartbreaking.
And apparently, Callum Robinson and Jack Rhodes from San Diego, they had been down there before. Yeah. And they have been in that area surfing. So they obviously felt there was a safe place to go.
Goodness. All right, Salvador Rivera, we thank you for coming in and giving us the information. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so I have one more short news clip, and then I do have 2 articles. I think it's 2 articles. Yes. About the victims in this horrific crime. So this again is from, I'm not sure exactly, Australian News, 9 News, and this kind of sums up everything that we know.
Good evening. It's been confirmed tonight Callum and Jake Robinson are dead after their parents today made the heartbreaking journey to Ensenada in Mexico to identify their bodies. Local surfers taking to the streets and the waves in a moving tribute to the Australian brothers.
A moment no parent should have to endure. Deborah and Martin Robinson leave the Ensenada Forensics Lab after positively identifying their sons. A car tyre robbery gone wrong, says the Attorney General, but grim new details in the forensics report have raised suspicions of drug cartel involvement. Jake, Callum and their American friend, Jack Carter Road, were all executed with a single gunshot wound to their heads.
And I just wanted to go back quick. I didn't hit pause quick enough so you can see this well. I mean, it's not a very big well, but this is where they were located in the, this middle of a ranch.
Shot wounds to their heads. 3 Mexican nationals are expected to be charged with.
And so again, now this was from today, this news clip. They're now unblurring the female's face, but not showing the eyes of the 2 men, which is interesting to me.
Murder in the days to come, but now authorities believe there could be more.
Okay, so so here's, I believe this, so this is where the well is. You can see the well right where my cat is. You see that hole. And then this is, I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. And then there's more cars up here. So I'm wondering if to the left is where that building was. It's hard to tell.
Now authorities believe there could be more people involved. Locals took to the streets of Ensenada in solidarity, calling for justice for the brothers and with this message: Australia, we stand with you.
Mates, we love you, Aussies. Mexico is your house, and we are really regretting what's happening. It's really a pity. I know you guys we're good people. You're good people. We love you guys.
Later, a surfer's goodbye, a floating tribute on San Miguel Beach, where the brothers visited last weekend.
They were asking for tacos and they were looking so happy to be here to learn about culture. They were asking about our traditional music.
2 brothers with their whole lives ahead of them cut short. Callum, the big koala, larger than life, who lit up a room. And Jake, who was visiting to celebrate his big brother's birthday and was planning to return to a new job, a doctor at Geelong Hospital.
Surfing is a tribe. Doesn't matter where you come from, In the ocean, we're all the same.
They came here chasing waves and for an adventure. Their story, now one of many tragedies in this violent region. Callum and Jake's parents will now take their sons on the long journey home.
In San Miguel, Mexico, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
All right. And KCG, I don't know if the well was covered. In all of the images I saw, it was not covered, but again, that was either during or after they had recovered Callum, Jack, and Jake. So the last 2 things I want to share with all of you are 2 articles that talk about the victims in this. So the first article is about Jack. These ads are so annoying. Let's see if I can get rid of it. Nope, can't get rid of it. So heartbreaking engagement photos show California surfer who was murdered in Mexico with the fiancé he was due to marry in 3 months. Jack Carter Road, 33, was weeks away from getting married to Natalie Wirtz. He was shot dead on a friend's surfing trip to Baja, California, Mexico. The American man, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. The American man who was gunned down alongside 2 Australian friends on a surfing holiday in Mexico was just weeks away from getting married. Jack Carter Road, 33, was found dead on Saturday with a single gunshot wound to his head, alongside his friends in an abandoned well overlooking the ocean outside Rosarito in Baja, California. The recruitment worker from San Diego was due to marry his fiancée, Natalie Wirtz, this summer, and had joined Australian brothers Callum and Jake Robinson for the road trip down the Pacific coast before his big day. Natalie, 32, had just enjoyed her bachelorette party in Florida's Key West in April, where the beaming bride-to-be was pictured partying with her friends. One of Natalie's friends, Aubrey Byers, has set up an appeal following the tragedy. And I'm not sure. Okay, so here's actually the GoFundMe. So I will put this in the description after the live, but I will also post it in the chat. So this says, Stand with Natalie, remember Carter's impact. And it has raised almost $51,000 so far. And so Aubrey Byers is organizing this fundraiser. It is donation protected, which I've actually not seen that before, so I'm not sure what that means. So in the wake of the heartbreaking loss of Carter Road, Callum Robinson and Jake Robinson, our hearts ache with grief for their families, friends, and community. Their presence brought immeasurable joy, love, and kindness to those around them, leaving a mark on our lives. I'm Aubrey Byers, a good friend of Carter and Natalie. We've created this GoFundMe page for two purposes. The first is to rally support for Natalie during this unimaginably difficult time and provide essentials such as housing, food, transportation, and more. The second is to honor Carter by raising money for scholarships and donations he felt passionate about. No donation is too small, and every contribution is deeply appreciated. If you're unable to donate, please consider sharing this page with your community. Together, we can continue to surround this family with the love and support they need to navigate this challenging journey. Thank you for your kindness, compassion, and solidarity during this time of profound loss. And there's a photo of Jack and Natalie. And this looks like when he proposed. Oh my gosh, that view is gorgeous. And another photo. So it looks like the Daily Mail. Yes. So it says Carter's final Facebook post shows Natalie screaming with delight as he kneeled down on a beach at sunset to slip a ring onto her finger. So again, that was from his Facebook. It says the couple had booked a venue in Columbus, Ohio for their wedding on August 16th. So I read the... So it says Carter, originally from Atlanta, announced his engagement to Natalie on his last Facebook post in July 2023. The beautiful pictures show Natalie screaming with delight as he kneeled down on a picturesque beach at sunset to slip a ring onto her finger. Tragically, the timer is still ticking down on the webpage for what was to have been their wedding this August. Carter had visited Mexico throughout his adult life after volunteering for a medical mission in Guatemala at 19. Obstacles are just opportunities in costumes, he wrote on his LinkedIn page. They can be scary or they can be fun, just depends on how you look at them. Building genuine relationships is one of the most rewarding things in life, and I feel humbled every day by the people who surround me. Natalie, a clothing designer for Vanity Fair brands in San Diego, looked radiant as her upcoming wedding was celebrated by friends in the Florida sunshine. And so here's Carter. He was a Point Loma Nazarene University graduate who moved to San Diego from his childhood home in Georgia. He had launched his own range of fashion before becoming a recruitment consultant. That's interesting. Here he is with very long dreads. More pictures of Natalie. So, says Carter had joined his friends for the road trip south after the two brothers enjoyed a weekend at the Coachella Festival. Callum was based in the U.S., where he was an accomplished lacrosse player known as the Big Koala, and his brother Jake, who worked in regional hospitals across Australia, had flown out to San Diego 2 weeks ago to visit him. Earlier, Daily Mail Australia revealed that Callum's devastated girlfriend Emily Horwath shared a heartfelt tribute on social media. And that actually brings me to the last article that I want to read. And this is from the Sydney Morning Herald. Girlfriend leads tributes to Australian brother slain on Mexican surfing trip. And this was today. The girlfriend of one of the Australians killed in Mexico has led the online tributes for them after Mexican authorities confirmed the identities of 3 bodies found in a well last week. Prosecutors believe Perth brothers Callum, 33, and Jake Robinson, 30, and American Jack Carter Road, 30, were killed after resisting the theft of their ute. And there's Callum with his girlfriend, Emily. The 3 went missing last weekend during a camping and surfing trip that they were documenting by posting idyllic photos on social media of waves and isolated beaches along a stretch of coast south of the city of Ensenada. Callum's girlfriend, Emily Horwath, an American who lives in San Diego where he played professional lacrosse, expressed her devastation in posts about the brothers and their American friend. "My heart is shattered into a million pieces. You are one of one. I will love you forever." Former San Diego Lacrosse Club teammate and housemate Kyle Hartzell said every person Callum met felt like they had known him for a lifetime. "I wish I had more time with you. I really do," Hartzell said in a tribute post. His brother Jake, a doctor, had left Australia about 2 weeks ago to attend Coachella Music Festival in California with him before they drove across the border from San Diego to surf in Mexico with Road. He was due to take up a position at a hospital in Geelong, Victoria, on his return. He previously worked in regional hospitals around Australia. On social media, Perth friend Jenny Guy said Jake had a bright future ahead of him. And this is actually the poster that I had seen that AMAC had shared, the missing poster. "I can't stop thinking about you, your smile, your laugh, your kindness. I can't stop crying thinking about how your parents are feeling right now." San Diego surf photographer Randy Dybel expressed his sadness at the news, saying Callum had bought a print from him weeks ago and discussed his plans for a surfing trip to Baja, California. "I told him to go to La Bocana, where there's great fishing and a wave to surf. I drew him a little map on a napkin. Really great guy and champion lacrosse player and surfer. Life is fleeting." And then again, the chief state prosecutor said the alleged killers drove by their campsite, saw their tent and ute, and wanted to steal their tires. "Surely they resisted," she said. "The thieves shot and killed them." The thieves then went to what she called, quote, "a site that is extremely hard to get to," end quote, and dumped the 3 men's bodies into a well. She said investigators were not ruling out the possibility the same suspects had earlier dumped a 4th unrelated body that was found in the well. And again, that was they believed to be the rancher who owned that property. She said police had earlier found evidence that led them to suspect the men had been attacked, including abandoned tents, a bullet casing, and drag marks. Baja California prosecutors said they were questioning 3 people, 2 of them because they were caught with methamphetamine. Prosecutors said the 2 were being held pending drug charges, but continued to be suspects in the killing. A 3rd man was arrested on charges of a crime equivalent to kidnapping before the bodies were found. It was unclear if he would face more charges. Mexican authorities believe the 3rd suspect directly participated in the killings. In keeping with Mexican law, prosecutors identified him by his first names, Jesus Gerardo, and the alias El Quicas. a slang word that means quesadillas or cheese tortillas. Andre Ramirez said he had a criminal record and that more people may have been involved. And then this kind of just gets into, well, actually, I'll just read the rest. Baja California is one of Mexico's most violent states, although the Ensenada area is considered safer. The U.S. State Department has advised Americans to reconsider travel to the state due to crime and kidnapping. In 2015, 2 Australian surfers, Adam Coleman and Dean Lucas, were killed in western Sinaloa state across the Gulf of California, also known as the Sea of Cortez, from the Baja Peninsula. Authorities said they were victims of highway bandits. 3 suspects were arrested in that case. So a lot happened in this case in just a few days. And tragically, they lost their lives for, as someone had said, just hanging out, having fun on vacation. And I just say, thankfully, they were able to find them, in addition to find this rancher who was also in the same well. I will continue to follow this, especially if there are charges that are brought against these 3 individuals. I most likely won't go live with it, so definitely check out my community page because I do post things there. I may even make a short. I've been doing a lot of shorts lately. So with that, thank you everybody for being here. I do appreciate it. I don't plan on going live tomorrow, but I did see that the Midwest is getting severe storms again. So I pray that it's nothing like they had, a week and a half ago. So I hope everybody has a great night. And if I don't see you on these YouTube streets, I will see you all on the flip side.